Yay, it worked.
Okay. So I don't know where my picture worked. This is the glymphatic system. It's basically your brain cleans itself. It does it when you're sleeping, and there's things that can affect this. And if you, like I was saying, I have a something happening in my ear that's affecting my jaw, and I believe it started from mold. I also used to wear noise canceling headphones, which made me sleep on my back, which I was doing. I probably did it for about 3 months straight. And I believe, intuitively, I believe that that had a large effect on my glymphatic system. And I'll explain as we go through this. And this is kind of why I brought this up, because I've talked to people about this in the past. And it's not something a lot of people know about, but if you are dealing with something in the head, or you have headaches, or anything, discomfort, neuroinflammation, there's things you can do that can really help. So I thought I'd pull this presentation up, and we would talk about it. So this is just a picture of the system itself. We'll go into the first page. How the hell do I do that? Right there. Okay, so the brain is the most metabolically active organ in the body. Although it represents only 2% of our body weight, it consumes approximately 20% of our body's energy. The whole thing about glucose, even the glucose has a lot to do with your brain. Your body will always make glucose to protect your brain. So a lot of times when people do fasting and things like that, they might get headaches, or they might not feel good, or brain fog, or whatever. It could be because your brain is not getting what it needs. I remember when I was a child, well, I probably wasn't a child, I was probably a wild teenager at this point in my life. But do you remember in the 1980s when the doctors were like, stop eating fat? And then we had margarine, margarine, I don't even know how to say it. Nobody was eating fat. My mom took out sour cream. There was no more butter in our house. We had to eat fat-free cottage cheese on baked potatoes or salsa. And I'm like, are you serious? And I honestly, and then she stopped eating fat. Like, fat was bad the rest of her life, is what she thought. And she has a pretty serious case of dementia. And I think it's highly connected to her glymphatic system and her brain not getting what she needed. Anyway, because of the high level of metabolic activity, the brain constantly produces metabolic waste products. If these waste products are not efficiently removed, they can accumulate and contribute to inflammation, impaired neurological signaling, and long-term degeneration of brain tissue. For many years, scientists wondered how the brain cleared waste because it does not contain a traditional lymphatic system like the rest of the body. They discovered a specialized clearance pathway known as the glymphatic system, which functions as the brain's waste removal network. It becomes especially active during sleep. This is why sleep is another reason sleep is so important. So if I go back up here to the picture, this blue line is basically your glymphatic system. It's kind of neat. I've seen a brain. I want to hold one. I haven't done it yet. There is a video on YouTube of a brain sitting on a brick wall, and they have a time lapse on it, and you can watch it basically dissolve because it's mostly made of fat. It literally just melts off the wall, with a lot of flies, of course. Okay. Why the brain needs a cleaning system. Every cell produces metabolic waste during normal cellular function. In the brain, this waste includes damaged proteins, inflammatory molecules, excess neurotransmitters, and metabolic byproducts. One important waste protein cleared by the brain is beta amyloid, which accumulates in individuals with Alzheimer's disease. If it accumulates in the brain, it can disrupt neuron communication, increase oxidative stress, which is inflammation, trigger neuroinflammation, and impair memory and cognition. The glymphatic system helps maintain neurological health by removing these substances. There's three major components: the cerebral spinal fluid, which surrounds the brain and the spinal cord. In fact, if you've ever been in a really hot sauna, or a sweat house, or you do water therapy, going from hot to cold, sometimes or even doing Reiki energy, you can feel your your cerebral spinal fluid like moving up and down your spine if you are in touch with yourself in that sense. It's actually really neat to be able to feel it. So this fluid surrounds the brain and the spinal cord. Its function includes cushioning the brain, delivering nutrients, and transporting metabolic waste. During glymphatic activity, this fluid circulates through the brain tissue and collects the waste. Astrocytes, it's kind of a neat name. It sounds like something's going to fly through the air. Specialized support cells called the astrocytes surround blood vessels in the brain. These cells help guide fluid movement between blood vessels and brain tissue. They regulate the flow of the cerebral spinal fluid through the brain. And then we have aquaporin channels. Those are those blue that I showed in the first picture there. The astrocytes contain water channels called aquaporin 4. These channels allow fluid to pass through the brain tissue efficiently. Without them, the glymphatic flow becomes impaired. So if it's fluid, you can imagine that something is very important for this system. Anybody have a guess? Water, hydration, which is interesting because a lot of people that are dehydrated have chronic headaches. It's like, just drink your water. Your body needs the water. Oops, did I go too fast? No. Okay, how does it work? The process occurs in several stages. First, the cerebral spinal fluid enters alongside your arteries. It flows along the blood vessels, entering the brain. The fluid moves between the brain cells. Using the aquaporin channels, fluid moves through spaces between neurons. During this movement, the fluid collects your metabolic waste. It's very similar to any other, I mean, your blood system does this, your lymphatic system does this. It's the same. It's just right here. Waste travels along the veins. Fluid carrying waste moves along the venous drainage pathways, and then the waste leaves the brain into the lymphatic vessels and eventually into the bloodstream for removal. Why sleep activates the glymphatic system? The glymphatic system becomes most active during sleep. Your brain cells shrink slightly. This is why people that have migraines sleep a lot, because it helps to shrink the brain, which helps with the inflammation. The spaces between the cells increase, so the fluid circulation becomes easier. Research shows the space between brain cells can increase by approximately 60% during sleep. This expansion allows cerebral spinal fluid to move more freely and remove waste products accumulating during waking hours. I mean, the human body is mind-blowing. I mean, it's such an intricate system. It just really blows my mind. Why poor sleep harms brain health? When sleep is inadequate, the glymphatic clearance decreases, metabolic waste accumulates, inflammatory signaling increases. Over time, this starts to contribute to memory impairment, cognitive decline, and neurodegenerative disease. Chronic sleep disruption is therefore strongly associated with neurological disorders. So here's some things that can actually support the glymphatic function, and I'll share with you like the ones that have helped me tremendously, just with my situation with what's happening in clearing out my my ear. I believe there's some, well, I don't know if I'm going to call it mold, but there's definitely mucus. There's definitely fluid, because if I push, it sounds like I'm pushing on a sponge in my ear. And I've been doing a lot of these things and not doing them, and I can see a difference in results between the mornings when I wake up, which is pretty neat. Sleep. So as we said, deep sleep is the most important factor. Healthy circadian rhythms help regulate sleep cycles. The hormone melatonin helps regulate sleep timing and quality. So a lot of people have trouble going to sleep, and even just going outside and watching the sun go down can have a huge impact on you being able to go to sleep. It doesn't say it here. Oh yeah, it does say it here. Never mind. So finding that, and for me, the last couple of weeks, I haven't been going to bed before 1 a.m. because of moving and trying to get things done. And the last 4 nights, I guess, I've been going to bed at a better time, and I actually have drainage when I'm waking up, which is a huge, huge improvement. Hydration, because the cerebral spinal fluid is mostly water, hydration supports fluid circulation and metabolic waste removal. Another thing I've noticed is, not yesterday, Sunday, I didn't drink all the water I should have. And Monday morning I woke up and I felt like my jaw actually woke me up because it was so tight. I couldn't open my mouth to yawn. It was pretty miserable. So yesterday I made sure I drank all my water and I changed my sleep position and I had a huge improvement in the morning. Physical activity. I need to move this screen. Movement improves circulation and vascular health, period. We know that any movement, I mean, it doesn't have to be, people go to yoga and they're doing hot yoga and it's very intense, but even just gentle movements, neck rolls like this, I do this 2 minutes in each direction, and that has a huge impact on it. Healthy blood vessel function helps drive fluid movement through the brain, and the brain, even just wherever the congestion is, a lot of moving that side of the body, making sure you're moving that side of the head. And then sleep position. As I said, I wore those headphones for probably 3 months straight, and I just noticed everything was getting worse. Sleeping on your side actually improves glymphatic drainage compared with sleeping on your back or your stomach. And that one for me, biggest change, sleeping on my side. And also using, I do use a pillow that supports the neck, so I'm not like this all night, or I guess I would, this way. Big improvement. Okay, these are more things that can support the glymphatic function. Deep diaphragmatic movement. The lymphatic system has no pump of its own. Every deep breath, twist, bend, and muscle contraction helps move lymph. So rebounding, a lot of you do that already. Walking, swimming, squats, yoga, doesn't have to be huge. Putting your legs up in the air towards the ceiling, just putting them up a wall or turning around on your bed and putting them up the headstand or the whatever that thing's called behind you, headstand. If you can do inversions, have at it. Excuse me. Dry brushing using a natural bristle brush before bathing may help stimulate superficial lymph flow and circulation. I also have one that has they look like fingers and it's rubber and you actually use it to scrub your head. So I'll do that one also. Feet towards your heart, so get them up. Hands towards the shoulders, gentle pressure, not aggressive scubbing. So feet, you brush from your feet up. Even if you could do like a tennis ball underneath your feet, you start from the toes, you push towards the heel because it helps to move fluid up the legs. And then obviously moving in towards the midline. And don't scrub the crap out of your skin, obviously. Manual lymphatic drainage. There's a lot of people that do massage techniques. You could probably look on YouTube and find a lot of things. Cupping therapy is another thing that's really awesome. I don't think I put that on here. But even for me, it gets really tight. My SCM gets super tight. I have TMJ, so I have a lot going on here. But I'll put a cup on my neck and just drag it down this tight muscle, which is super helpful. If you have illness, yes, infection in the ear. If there's any injury, significant swelling or surgery, this is when manual lymphatic drainage techniques are super, super helpful. Infrared sauna. This is where you might feel the fluid actually pumping up and down. It will increase circulation and sweating, which may help support overall detoxification and fluid movement. Be sure if you are going to do sauna, because you're going to sweat your, what's off, replenish your minerals, hydrate especially well. For every hour that you do hot, sweaty activities, you need another 8 ounces of water added to your daily intake. And then contrast therapy, which would be hydroponic therapy, water therapy, alternating hot and cold. Exposure causes your blood vessels to expand and contract, helping to move the fluids. So it says here, hot, cold showers, sauna followed by a cool rinse, and contrast baths. And these are things you don't have to go anywhere. I mean, the sauna I bought on Amazon for $80. It's like my head sits out of it. And sometimes I'll just sit inside of it instead of on the chair that comes with it. So those are really doable at home. Okay, fascia health. Lymphatic vessels run through connective tissue. Tight, dehydrated fascia can restrict fluid movement. Helpful approaches, you can do foam rolling or actually use balls. I'll put this ball, I actually got it out to show it to you guys. I have these in every single size. I have ones about half the size like this, and I'll lay my head down on my pillow and open and close my jaw to help massage the tissue inside of the cheek muscle. And I'll put it up kind of higher, or I'll just kind of roll it around on my face like this, just to get things moving. Really helpful. That's considered myofascial release, or even stretching. There's a technique you can do if it is in one of your ears. In fact, your son might benefit. You find where your collarbone meets your sternum, and you put your palm on it. So if I'm doing my left ear, my right palm goes on my left sternum. Put the other hand, push down or push towards yourself, and then you actually drag your hands, and then you make it like 75 double chins, and you start to tilt your head over to the other ear, and you'll feel your SCM pulling all the way into your ear. Really good stretch if you're having ear discomfort. And then yoga therapy, of course, you probably have to find a yoga therapist. Well, I am a yoga therapist, so if you needed some help with anything, I could help you. And then you have to address your congestion sources. It becomes overwhelmed when there's chronic inflammation. That's what I'm experiencing. An infection, ongoing, mold exposure, digestive dysfunction, poor drainage through the bowel. The body needs open exit routes. So our digestive system, the black bile that I'm always talking about, is highly connected to your glymphatic system. If the drainage is not working, the glymphatic system is like not going to drain. I don't know an American that has really good digestive systems right now, seeing the things that are coming out of everybody. And, so I'm going to go on to my tin hat thing. I do believe it's all part of their plan. Is if the bile's not moving, people are going to be sick. Look at the numbers. You would think breast cancer is the #1 studied illness in America. It is not. It is dementia and Alzheimer's, which blows my mind because you see breast cancer research and walks and this, and it's not the #1 studied thing in America. It's actually dementia. And it makes sense because drainage happens down there. I'm not on screen down there, but if this is like the last thing in line to get cleared, so we have to have these open routes. The bowel movements have to be regular. Bile flow needs to be moving. We have to have good kidney function. We need to be sweating somehow, some way. We need to be sweating. I think this goes on. Yes, one more page, I think. Protein intake. Lymph fluid contains proteins. If you're not having your protein, Shannon and I rant about protein constantly. It affects every system of your body. You have to have good protein. In fact, I just got a message on my phone about somebody who's only has 10 more grams to make it today. Sometimes I tell people, write down your intake of protein for a week. I'm going to hold you accountable to make sure you're getting it in. Everybody has improvement just by doing that in whatever they're dealing with. So it's so important. Lymph fluid, very low protein intake can contribute to fluid imbalances and swelling. So focus on adequate protein, minerals, and electrolytes. Your foundations: protein, minerals, electrolytes, sleep, water. There's a handful of them. Five things. It's a handful. All right. Another thing that can help is compression garments. They can help some people move lymph more effectively, especially in the legs. Those compression socks, you could actually use those to help your lymphatic system, which will also help your glymphatic system. Okay. There are different herbs that you can use to support your lymphatic system. Red root, cleavers, calendula. This is a good one. It also can be used as a salve on your skin. Echinacea and burdock root. They're often used by herbalists to support lymphatic flow and drainage. I used these when I was still doing natural medicine stuff. Oh shit, I think I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so when I teach clients, I usually explain that the lymphatic system works like a creek. You guys know I like my analogies. If the creek isn't moving, you don't focus on the water, you look at the entire watershed. What is happening in the creek? It's the same with the digestive tract. The biggest lymph movers tend to be movement, deep breathing, fascial release, rebounding, proper bowel and bile flow. If the digestive tract and bile are not moving well, many people feel like they're detoxing poorly because the body has nowhere to send the lymph it's trying to clear. The connection between lymph, liver, bile, and the bowel is often overlooked, especially with the glymphatic system. I'd never in my life, well, I shouldn't say my life, in my years of dealing with my mom with her dementia, never had a doctor talk to me about her glymphatic system. Never, not once, which is unfortunate. Here's some fun words: aging and the glymphatic system. The Efficiency of glymphatic clearance tends to decline with age, just like everything else with age. Possible factors that will affect this are reduced sleep quality, vascular changes. Vascular changes is a huge one. Decreased aquaporin function. So supporting sleep and circulation may help maintain this system. So even older people, you know, my mom, I'd have her sit in the chair and do this. Just spin your head around, you know, take your leg up in the air in her chair. Roll out your ankles. You know, when I used to teach yoga, teacher trainings, you know, a forward fold for me, my hands are flat on the ground. For other people, they're like this, reaching for the floor. So even sometimes just simple little ankle rolls can be really challenging for some people, and it's just they need to do it. We've got to work from the ends towards center and get things moving for people. So it could be very simple movement. I keep going the wrong way. The brain produces garbage throughout the day as it works, just like your digestive system. At night when we sleep, a cleaning system activates and washes away the waste. Sleep is when the brain's cleaning crew comes to work. So you have to be sure you're getting adequate sleep. Breathing, we talk about the vagus nerve. Not a lot, but I talk about doing Ujjayi breath. I think we just talked about it a couple weeks ago, maybe, or last week. It's a very powerful breath that can have a huge change on your entire body. It is a part of your nervous system. It's the rest and digest part of your nervous system, your parasympathetic, and it has huge improvements on many, many things. It also has an effect on your cerebral spinal fluid dynamics. Every breath slightly changes pressure inside the chest and spinal canal. When people breathe normally, which everybody's doing right now, unless you're talking like I am, I'm like gasping for air. But normally you take what's called your forced breath. You feel your chest moving here, and it's not noticeable. And I've had clients in the past tell me, don't change my breath. That's what keeps me alive. That's how afraid of their bodies they've been, which is awful. I've been there. But if you take a deep breath and imagine pulling it down into your belly, feel that rise, and then start to feel the chest start to rise, and then you start to feel it come up even higher, and then you exhale, emptying the belly, feeling the ribs drop, and then the chest start to drop, you're going to get more oxygen into your body. It's going to have an effect on your lung tissue. It's going to have an effect on how the oxygen gets delivered to the brain. It also helps with your circulatory system. So it's important to do different breathing techniques and to practice them daily. The pressure changes help to move the cerebral spinal fluid through the brain and the spinal cord when you do them. Slow, deep breathing improves, oxygen delivery to the brain, venous blood return, and cerebral spinal fluid movement. This means that breathing patterns may influence the efficiency of brain waste clearance. Breathing through the nose rather than the mouth helps regulate oxygen and carbon dioxide levels, which influence blood vessel dilation in the brain. So healthy breathing, therefore, supports neurological circulation and detoxification. In fact, when I go to yoga, I've been doing yoga for a long time, what year is this? Probably 26 or 27 years. And when I go to yoga, I don't sweat a lot. And I'm in a hot yoga room. It could be 100 degrees. And like today, I washed my hair. So my hair was dripping, and it appeared as I was sweating. But when I left, my clothes weren't wet. And everybody else in there is sweating like a pig. And if they would turn the music off, all you hear is me breathing. I breathe like a dragon in a cave the entire time I'm doing yoga. And that's the purpose of yoga. It's not just to move your body and stand in funny poses. It's to have control of your body so your body does not have control of you. And when you do that, your body works more efficiently and you can actually sustain what you're doing longer than other people can. It's very cool. So if you don't do breath practice yet, consider starting something. Just for every system of your body, it will change everything. Okay. Spinal fluid flow and the brain detox. Cerebral spinal fluid does not remain static. It circulates continuously between the brain and the spinal cord. The spinal cord acts as a major pathway for the fluid movement. Several factors influences circulation: arterial pulsation, breathing rhythms, body movement, and posture. That right there sounds like yoga to me. It's like an all-in-one right there. So movement in the spine and the body can influence pressure gradients that help move cerebral spinal fluid. I had he was a student of mine. He was older. I think he was like 68, and he started coming to yoga, and he couldn't do it very well. And he knew that it's a practice. You're going to do it for the rest of your life. And his doctor wanted him to go on blood pressure medicine. And he said, there's no way I'm going to do it. I'll go try yoga. And he stuck with it. He was in every class I taught. I taught fascia flow, which was myofascial release in the class. And after 5 months, he came and said, April, you've lowered my blood pressure. I do not need to be on medicines. It changed everything just by doing simple movements and breathing. And I'm like, well, actually, I didn't do it. You did it yourself. I just guided you. So it can have a huge effect on your body. Movement, I said that already. So for this reason, gentle movement, stretching, and physical activity may indirectly support fluid circulation in the central nervous system. So sometimes, yes, a 20-minute walk is great. However, sometimes, getting into a tabletop and doing some cat-cow and just moving your spine can be way more beneficial than trying to take an hour hike to go push yourself. So exercise doesn't always have to be to an effect where you're like and struggling. It can actually be very calming for the nervous system and way more beneficial if you actually back off. Okay, the vagus nerve, posture, and lymphatic flow. The vagus nerve is what I talk about, the nerve that runs out. It exits C1-2. It does not go down your spinal foramen with the rest of them. It actually exits and goes straight into your diaphragm. It controls many functions, including your heart rate, digestion, inflammatory signaling, and your parasympathetic nervous system activity. When the nervous system is in a calm state, the body can focus on repair and restoration. This state helps healthy circulation, lymphatic drainage, and restorative sleep. Posture also influences these systems. Poor posture, especially forward head posture, which everybody does, may compress blood vessels and lymphatic pathways in the neck. The neck contains important drainage routes for the brain, including pathways that connect to the cervical lymph nodes. Healthy posture supports blood circulation from the brain, lymphatic drainage from the head and neck, vagus nerve signaling. Movement, stretching, and maintaining spinal alignment help maintain these pathways. Even just tipping your head slightly adds, I don't know how many pounds of pressure into your lumbar spine. But think of your neck as your life force, right? We breathe in through the nose and then the lungs are down here. If anything happens to this, we're kind of screwed. And it can be treated like a hose. If you take a hose and you do this, the flow stops. And the same is with this. Sometimes it's good for compression, like the energy locks. But if you can maintain upright, so these phones, we need to have them up here. We need those things that go around your neck and hold your phone right here. So just be mindful of your posture. And if you feel that you're getting, the kyphosis where you're starting to round this way, roll a towel up, put it on the floor and just lay over it for 5 minutes a day. It can change your kyphosis very, very quickly if you do that. Okay, so the summary of all of this. The glymphatic system is the brain's natural cleaning system. It depends on several physiological processes working together. Deep sleep, check out your sleep. Cerebral spinal fluid circulation, drink your water. Healthy blood vessels, breathing patterns, spinal movement, lymphatic drainage, and nervous system balance. When these systems function together, the brain can efficiently remove metabolic waste and maintain neurological health. Sleep is not simply rest. It is an active process during which the brain performs one of the most important functions. There's one more thing that I didn't put in here. I'll stop sharing. But where are we? Here we are. You actually have a pump. There's a pump in the back of your head and there's a pump down in your calf. And sometimes even just taking your thumb and grabbing your leg from the outside and pushing on the back of your calf can help that pump. And you can do it before you go to bed. And then notice your pillow, because if you are like this, the pump doesn't pump. So you want to have your head more in a natural position, something supporting your neck so that your head is, or your neck's in a more natural position to help clean the brain when you are sleeping. All right, so that's all for that. Does anybody have anything to say about that? Have you ever had this experience? Maybe you didn't even know to test it, but maybe you can start if there's something going on in the head space, literally. If anybody has anything to say, you can unmute. Otherwise,
I have something to say.
Okay.
So in one of the trainings I did, we talked a lot about the glymphatic system, and what was recommended is take like 3-inch blocks and raise the head of your bed so that it can drain.
A little elevation.
Little elevation.
Yeah.
You mean your head under your pillow?
No, under the feet of your bed, you just raise the top of your bed.
The
Okay.
whole
Oh,
bed.
I
The
see. I
whole,
see.
yeah, the whole
Yeah.
bed. So it's at
Just a
a little
little
bit of
bit.
an angle. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. And then
Oh,
if you are doing that, you need to be sure you're putting your feet up in the air because we're always this way. We're always this way. And then we're staying that way. We're not going this way. We got to go this way too. Very important for your body. Yeah. All right. Shenane. I think we're done. No?